We are getting ready to go into the hot springs here in Pagosa Springs, Colorado. These are amazing healing hot springs. The water is amazing. It's filled with tons of healing minerals and sulfurs, all sorts of things that are detoxifying as well as replenishing, which is really important to have that balance.
Yeah.
We have no access to this back in Texas. I think there's maybe one hot springs on the opposite end of Texas, not where we live.
I didn't even know that.
Like way out, far away. And it doesn't have the same minerals that the mountain hot springs have.
Yeah.
So we did this 2 nights ago.
Yeah.
And we were really wondering how our bodies would tolerate it after being in toxic mold, having POTS, MCAS, a lot of things that we just weren't sure how well we were going to tolerate it. And it went a lot better than expected.
Yeah.
Like a lot better. I mean, how did you feel after?
I felt good. I felt tired and relaxed, which is kind of how you're supposed to feel after going to the hot springs. So, yeah, we were a little grouchy the next day, but otherwise it was okay. You know?
So it was detoxifying. I ended up with a cold sore because it was pulling things out of my body. So this is good.
Yeah. I ended up a little lightheaded and grouchy, but otherwise, you know.
And so we were a little grouchy, and that's just the liver. It literally was pulling things out of our liver, and that's what we want. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But I was surprised how well we tolerated. I will say, so she has POTS, way worse than me. And she did have to kind of get out of the water and just dangle her feet quite a bit and then in and out.
Yep.
But it still worked. And how long were we? Well, like 45 minutes?
45, 50 minutes.
But,
I think we were there a little late.
I had my body in the whole time, and she was only in there with legs some of the time. And so I think that's really important. I think it's important also because we brought water with us that had lemon juice and aloe vera juice, and it's very rehydrating. And so I think that it really helped a lot. I feel like it's something that we could do almost every night up here, but again, we chose not to because you don't want to detox too hard. It was interesting. What I thought was interesting is here we are in Colorado, and we went to one of the larger hot springs that you can pay for to go into. And there were, at the moment when we were there, probably, 6 to 8 people coming and going.
Yeah.
And all of the people that we ended up talking with were healing from some sort of chronic illness, and almost all of them were from other states and had driven partially here so that they could come to the healing hot springs.
Most of them were from southern states like us. Like
which
Texas,
is interesting.
Alabama, Florida,
Gulf Coast. Yeah, which is interesting because we were talking to one lady who was there just because of Lyme and Bartonella.
Yep.
And of course we were like, oh, well, have you been in mold? And she was like, oh, yeah, that also. And I'm like, that turned it on. And then another lady said her sister was healing from POTS, and she had this conversation where she was healing from a chronic illness. And it just was interesting how all of it really, truly, I think if all of them had maybe known about it, we're really healing from mold that turned on, or another toxicity that turned on all these other problems and illnesses in their bodies. But it was interesting that we talked about varying degrees of how well it worked for us.
Yeah.
So we had done it in past, and I know it had helped us. And one lady who said she had Lyme and Bartonella for years, 25 years, said that she doesn't notice any difference at all when she goes to those. And she's tried lots of different things. I think it really has to do with where your body is and where your liver and spleen and your body, all the detox pathways, if they're open and ready for it.
Yeah.
I feel like. So we've worked on opening those detox pathways quite a bit. And so I feel like maybe that's why we're getting more from it. And again, it did detox us, but in a good way that we were able to manage.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. So we're going to do it again and see how much we can heal up before we head back to Texas tomorrow.
Yep.
And, on this healing journey, we try whatever we can and
whatever we
get
have
access to.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's the whole point.
Sure is.
Okay, so we're going to go relax.
Yes.